Holy fuck. The centrist think tank Third Way is hiring a director of anti-extremism to lead a messaging campaign against DSA. This is presumably related to Third Way's 2-year, $15 million effort against democratic socialism. Dude, we have to, like, Democrats across the board should abso-fucking-lutely see this for what it is. They should 1,000% cut these guys out. Like, I don't know what else to say about this. Like, this is straight up moneyed interest, man. This is straight up moneyed interest coming in as wolves in sheep's clothing. I can't believe it. DSA's most extreme ideas and statements to a repository of voting records, affiliations, and issue positions to make available to allies and partners, leading public opinion research to identify and test the contrast that move base voters away from these extreme candidates, overseeing the development of memos, talking points, rapid response materials, and other products that make that case against extreme forces in American politics, promoting and marketing our research and materials to ensure they reach decision makers quickly and at scale through a coordinated distribution infrastructure, recruiting and arming a group of young, diverse spokespeople to fight the DSA from a center-left perspective, and assembling a board of coalition of organizational partners to make the case against extremism, running an earned media program to create a drumbeat of our message and op-eds, television appearance, podcasts, and traditional media and media engagement. This is literally what the Manhattan Institute does already. This is what the fucking Manhattan Institute does already. Salary range is 140 to 150 annually. At Third Way, we are committed to non-discrimination and fair pay practices. Yeah. Ay, ay, ay. I don't know, man. This is so fucking annoying. This is the reactionary version of woke one. What? No. This, if you wanted to hear the Near Ested convo where they talked about you, starts here at 24. Like, oh, that's funny. I didn't even, I did the Ested convo today and I barely even talked about Near Attendant, honestly. Like, we had more important things to discuss, in my opinion.
With outside money and specifically AIPAC. Like, which one is hurting the Democratic Party more? Like, Hassan Piker or its alignment with a corporate wing of the party that the voters are.
Oh, the timestamp was correct. Okay. Until 24.
That doesn't seem universal. Like, there seems to be, like, okay, is it vote blue no matter who, even if they campaign with Hassan Piker?
Well, since I am supporting Abdul Al-Sayed, even though he did campaign with Hassan Piker, it does definitely apply to me. I think this is a really interesting discourse to me because I don't hold it against folks on the left who have been like grudging or oppositional. I think big tent means big tent, right? You have to be a big tent, even when I disagree. I just think it's also important to think about what a big tent really is. And I think like a challenge here for the left, I'm willing to take, I think it is absolutely the case that moderates or liberals or center-left folks have to compete on ideas against the left when they disagree with the left. I mean, there's things I agree with the left on, but where I disagree, I have to offer better ideas. I also think the left has to acknowledge that the people the left claims to speak for, working class people, have been a challenge to get their votes from in these primaries. Okay? Like, even when you look at what's happening in blue cities and states. And so,
yes, it is much more of a middle class phenomenon if you look at the kind of DSA aligned coalition than it would be a working class phenomenon, even if you point to results in Michigan, where Stevens won the majority of lower income voters.
Absolutely. And, this is what like from my perspective, if we wanted to just speak tactically, the kind of most important thing for the Democratic Party over the next 2.5 years is to bring as many working class people back into the Democratic Party. Working class people of color have been voting for Democrats. The cleavage has been on racial lines amongst working class people. Yeah. Obviously in 24, there was a big loss of Latinos and Asian working class people. And even, I think the jury's a little bit out of black people, but there's been different data there. But to me, a Democratic Party that can maintain its current coalition and make inroads into working class voters, particularly white working class voters, is a party that can win a gigantic election victory.
I can't listen to her. I'm sorry. She's too blasted. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's just she's just fucking rambling. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care about her assessment, honestly.
Step backwards. We had Donald Trump, COVID, the Imagine music video. We had no choice but to be bold in our language. Also, I just want to point out that we're both white heterosexual men having this conversation. Just want to acknowledge that. I acknowledge. So what? You're so much better now. Just me, but scared to look stupid. We're evolving, understanding optics, recognizing we can't win and help people's material circumstances unless we chill on the culture war stuff. You mean lose on culture war stuff, which you clearly have, which is why you're so aloof and holier than that. Please, we're cool now. We're less tax the rich and more fuck the rich. Language. During Woke 1, we'd be like, let's defund the police. During Woke 2, we're like, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about something else. Do you hear yourself?
Yeah, this is I guess one of the I've never experienced such a clear lack of coherent narrative than this exact issue, right? Like there are those out there who are like, oh no, this is about defund the police, or this is about police accountability, they're dropping this. I don't think that's the case, or at least I'm not. I never have and I never will. So I don't really understand it. I come to this with the recognition that policing as an institution is unbelievably popular by the masses. And yes, policing, depending on which community you're talking about, it has a very different reaction overall. Maybe there's a little bit of a generational divide on this too, even including but not limited to black communities as well. But ultimately, it's very clear that there needs to be accountability. It's very clear that we need to fund the actual social safety nets and fund the social services necessary to do complete crime prevention. Every reporter and mainstream media person that mentioned woke uses that framing, and that's why politicians are responding with Hassan, you are the minority. Yeah, I use woke jokingly as a pejorative at times. I say that I'm woke sincerely at times. So I feel like one of the issues here is, while I have been one of the number one advocates of the distinction between woke 1 and woke 2.0, I mean, this community is literally the place where that materialized into reality, right? That and also dark woke, ironically, as concepts. But I think most people understand it entirely differently than what we're, than the way we use it. But I guess that is the nature of language. It's vague. But I want to make it clear over and over again. There's no, I just don't want people to misunderstand my position, at least, which is to never drop the policies or the positions in general. It's more so just to reframe the language in a way that is less academic and to reframe the attitude in a way that is more charitable to people, which was basically my position during Woke 1 anyway, right? Do you understand? That was already something that I was advocating for regardless, and I've never stopped advocating for it regardless. It's just about making it a little bit more accessible and a little bit easier to understand and maybe a little bit more dynamic, right? Tony Evers tells Hong voters to get fucked. Asked what his message to Hong voters, Governor Tony Evers replies, yeah, they have to play along. I mean, not play along, they have to be part of it. Is David going to get behind some of the big things she talked about? No, but at the end of the day, the big issues are something that I'm sure she feels strongly about. Wait, what? Is this from this morning? Is this after the election?
What do you say to supporters of Fran Hong who are now looking at this election? We didn't get her. Now we have David Crowley. What do you say to those folks?
Yeah, they have to play along. I mean, not play along. They have to be part of it. We want them to be part of it. Obviously, a whole bunch of people. Is David going to get behind some of the things she talked about? No. But at the end of the day, the big issues are something that
it's not a good. Notice how Abdul never did this, right? When they asked about it, and when they asked about party unity, Abdul was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do our very best to convince these folks that we didn't, that didn't vote for us initially." And it's also, again, to be fair, much easier for the left candidate to push for party unity than it is for the right candidate to push for party unity, because the right candidate is running on electability and the left candidate is running on policies. So then there is like an actual, like what would be the policy for Haley Stevens voters, judging by like the campaign performance, like what the salient issues were for Haley Stevens? It's electability. It's, Obama endorsement. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't a lot of like clear-cut policy differentials between Haley Stevens and Abdullah Sayed, and that was by design, right? I'm sure that in terms of Haley Stevens' track record and how she would have performed in the Senate, there would have been major differences. But that's not how she presented herself during the campaign, and I think that was by design. Once again, electability was the salient message. So that's the distinction between like a left candidate losing versus a right candidate losing, and then demanding unity. So it's tough. It's a tough situation. I don't think Democrats understand how important it is for them to. I don't think Democrats understand how important it is for them not to repeat the mistakes of 2024 here, right? Like, it's great to demand unconditional unity and to say like, no, it's time to nut up or shut up. It's time to lock in the way that they presented my perspective, which was false. That wasn't what I was saying. I was talking about consultants and not the voters. But, I certainly worry about that. I do worry about that. That would be not great. Hassan, please sue Scott Jennings. I'm a black Hasanabi head, and I know a bunch of black people who will believe the things he said. You know a bunch of black people that watch Scott Jennings and would trust Scott Jennings' word? That's pretty wild, in my opinion. But yeah, this is not good for Tony Evers to say. I hope he clarifies his position. She only got like 300,000 votes. Why should Crowley concede on any issue? So like that's the argument that the moderates were trying to present towards Abdullah Sayed in the race, right? And the question I had was like, what were the voters' demands, judging by what Haley Stevens was running on? Because if Haley Stevens was running on like something very specific, then yeah, that would make sense. Then Abdul would have to like reconsider certain priorities, right? Like that does, that would make sense. If Haley Stevens had like one key policy prescription that Abdul was antagonistic towards, then we could at least like point to that and say, this is probably some area where Abdul has to like maybe moderate a position on. But it's not like Haley Stevens was even talking about Medicare for all being bad, So as far as the issues go for Crowley versus Hong, the Hong policy was chock full of, the Hong campaign was chock full of policies, like very clear policies. And I suspect that played a major role in her popularity, which was, fairly large. Anyway, let's continue with
folks,
Woke 1, Woke 2.
Woke 3. Can you educate this moron?
Woke 3?
Yeah, it's me, Woke 3, kind of a metatextual wokeness written to critique and stand apart from whatever conversation's happening. Tell us who becomes president. Oh, there's no more presidents. I'm from way into the future. We don't get to Woke 3 for a while. So we just cycle back and forth between Woke 1 and Woke 2 for many decades, debating semantics and optics and so forth. I don't understand. As Woke 3, I more or less exist to critique the various eras of wokeness, but even then my use is more academic, useful to researchers of past eras. I don't understand. I'm a postmodern invention. I'm commenting upon the text. Friend that's a little too woke. Am I right? Shut the
Does Mayor Zoran Mamdani think that Perchi and AOC Woke 1 was crazy? He weighs in. All right, let's see what Zoran had to say about this. But what's really interesting about the Zoran defund the police thing is that he walked back his statement on defund the police, and then he just explained what defund the police is. So I guess the question remains, are we trying to get, well, to be fair, he did not disband SRG. So there's that element of this where, again, we're going now into like 2 or 3 different separate issues. Because if I'm going to parse through it, you got Tish on the one hand as police commissioner that I think is a major issue, and it's going to bubble up and eventually become a problem. He seems to think that he can control that dynamic. Number two, disbanding the SRG, the Strategic Response Group, which is like the anti-terror group for NYPD, which was used and deployed against protesters over and over again, specifically against the Columbia students. And then last but not least was defund the police, right? Defund the police is what? Defund the police is taking away some of the expansive budgets of these ever-increasing budgets of the police precincts all around the country, and then taking away some of those funds and then putting it into social safety nets and also social services. Zoran Mamdani basically said he doesn't want to do defund the police, and then explained that he was doing defund the police, right? It's not about even a reduction of the police budget necessarily, but more so to keep headcounts the same, keep police budgets the same, and then take some of the additional surplus revenue and then spend it on social programs and social safety nets. So he is doing that. He is doing that. Is out of the three different components in his attitude towards policing, he is at the very least following through on the main promise that he made, right? So I don't know what he's going to say here. But at the end of the day, as someone who was a firm and committed believer that defund the police as a slogan would have been effective if people didn't give up on it and just basically explain what that slogan meant, all he's doing here is trading off the sloganeering for the actual impactful policy behind the slogan itself. So not sure what he's saying here. Let's take a look.
You think woke one was crazy?
Look, I think that...
Can we stop listening to white people defending the right-wing framing of woke? Focusing on woke one is already giving into the culture war. This conversation never need to be had by mainstream media and politicians. We were winning without trying to take a stance on this shit. Notice how zero of the black DSA people brought this up. We already messaged around it. So, great statement. Here's the question. Were there social excesses in the prior iteration that sometimes could be toxic towards organizing? Do you agree with that or not? Because that's my attitude on it. My attitude on it is, no shit, yes, that's liberalism. Exactly. No, I agree. My point always was wokeness as a construct became, regardless of its inception within the black community, wokeness in its mass adoption became a capitalist construct, a commodified construct that is not real. It's not something that is organic. It became something that corporations could cynically deploy to sell burgers, or even mainstream media would deploy as a way that human beings don't exist in the real world, like a totally constructed understanding of social justice, right? And it was weaponized over and over again against the left flank that wanted to also apply class analysis into the intersectionality conversation. That's what woke one broadly, from my perspective, is. And that also led to a bunch of social excesses that got in the way, like rad lib tendencies that got in the way of coming across as normal people that just want what's best for others. And it wasn't exactly great in terms of organizing. And those excesses in and of itself created backlash. Now, of course, is that the main reason why there was an anti-woke pendulum swing? No, of course not. The anti-woke pendulum swing was was always pushed for by right-wingers, by reactionaries who want to eviscerate all things social progress, who always want to roll back the clock on social progress, no matter what it takes. So I don't know. I just don't. I think it's a helpful narrative device to explain that we are not abiding by some of the corporatized, sanitized versions of what wokeness was, and we're also not not doing the things that we used to do as far as being kind of annoying. That's my attitude on it. And it's kind of crazy because this has gotten completely out of control because we were the ones who were literally talking about woke 1 versus woke 2.0 over and over again. And now it's gotten out of hand. And you know, people are leaning into totally different frameworks that you know, I did not intend for people to lean into. Our issue has been and always be liberalism because white supremacist capitalists giving into the framing that it's woke instead of explaining how that's liberalism is just conceding to things we don't need to. Okay, but none of the electeds who have mentioned woke one have talked about liberal excesses and the establishment's betrayal. I mean, sure. I don't disagree with you, but I just, you know, I'm telling you what I
Do
Mm-hmm.
believe.
you think woke one was crazy?
Look, I think that each person has a responsibility to tell New Yorkers, to tell Americans when they're running for office what they believe. And sometimes what you believe can change, it can develop, it can grow. And I know that there are some for whom they still believe in that. I've made very clear that I do not believe in defunding the police, that I will not be defunding the police. And that to me, delivering critical public safety also looks like working with our police department alongside many other partners. And we've seen over the first 7 months of this administration what that can look like.
Bro, also, here's the other side of this truth. Okay, NYPD is obviously a mafia, right? It's very hard to control. It's the most powerful force in the New York municipality. New York City is like the most difficult force to combat outside of like Wall Street real estate lobby and whatnot. Here's the issue. So far, the fucking crime rates have been eviscerated in New York. And there hasn't been any like high profile media fuck ups. So for him to like at this stage turn around and be like, fuck the NYPD is literally just not, it's not a thing that he could do. Like no one would do that right now. Okay. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like probably the worst time to make an argument against policing when for some stroke of luck, the strange allegiance that he has cultivated with Jessica Tisch has led to unbelievable results for a young socialist Muslim mayor. You know what I mean? They haven't found a cop to shit talk Mamdani on TV. Yeah, at most you got the Staten Island losers booing him at the cop event that he fucking went to.
And we're talking about the fewest murders on record in New York City, the fewest shooting incidents.
I know the NYPD is a behemoth. What you said about the issues and messages diverging from what you meant and intended is why I was against using it in mainstream media in the first place. The messaging, discipline, and broad agreement isn't even there. I mean, yeah, we have no fucking control over our electeds fucking doing that. Let's be real. But like, as long as they're not, like, even with Zoran, when he's like, oh, I'm against defund the police. Well, he said that during the campaign. And then what did he do afterwards? Like, he found a very diplomatic approach to the issue, a very diplomatic sell on the issue. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, he did. It's the same thing as like, yeah, I'm against like religious ethno states, as long as like I'm not against Israel as a you know state that gives equal rights and representation to all people that it currently occupies. Like that is a liberalized framing that is very palatable to people, but it's not, you know, betraying his first principles. And the same goes for policing overall. Unless there's something that he's doing with the and I put the SRG in a separate category for the record, because this is like defund the police is one thing, SRG is another, and Jessica Tisch is another thing, right? Like those are three separate brackets, all under policing, like police reform in general. So none of the things that he's saying has been new. Like this is literally what he ran on. This is what he won on. So I don't know. I mean, if you're going to get mad about Zoran on the policing front, which, you know, there's areas of criticism, I would say is the SRG thing. Does that make sense? Like, not disbanding SRG is probably the most like the biggest betrayal out of like his campaign promises. But like playing ball in the way that he has with the police force so far has led to pretty promising results for him. Especially because I predicted it would be the #1 rat fucker of the Zoran agenda from the start. Not sure if this kind of easy equivalence is useful. The police problem is persistently difficult due to the cops being directly integrated into U.S. working class social reproduction. The Israel-Palestine politics will run into geopolitical dynamics arising from capital circulation. Neither is easy for any political actor or social force, but the reasons for their difficulty really are different. Not sure that reducing these distinct difficulties of failures of conviction or high office really tells much or is useful. What is this? Dylan says, this is exactly what will happen to all the nice-sounding Palestine rhetoric if and when the Democratic Socialists get close to national executive power and they realize that scaling back global empire is too tricky. This isn't being overly cynical. It's just observing what is happening already. Yeah, I don't know. I think, once again, there's issues with Zoran's handling of certain concepts, including with Israel-Palestine stuff, right? Like, again, being perfectly critical in a totally valid way. It's hard for me not to recognize that the issue here is not actively trying to combat, synagogue sales, like settler fairs that take place inside of synagogues. These are illegal. He has been very critical of it. I don't know where the movement is right now on that front. There are certain things within his power, right? So that's what I find to be the real area of criticism, worthy criticism here. Not the language that's being used, and the same with policing. It's not like what he's done so far, but it's more so. It's more so around the SRG on the policing front. Anyway, I got to pee really bad.
Of an old clip of Hassan Piker. You
shit.
showed it to me. I think this is the one, Vinny.
Here's Patrick Bet David talking shit.
Watch this clip of Hassan Piker. Go for it.
We're going to keep bringing in immigrants to this country.